Got a 2008 Lexus LS460. This simply has a bad starter and lower control arm issues, so it's probably going to be two separate videos. Will be two separate videos. I'm gonna jump in this real quick. I'm not gonna sit there and talk about this a whole lot. This is a very extensive job. The little bit of research that I have done on YouTube just to see like visually what is involved wasn't really any help for the average person, I'm sure. And this is going to be my absolute first time pulling one of these down, but I do pay for a monthly subscription of Identifix that give us mechanics the ability to chime in or contribute to any kind of confirmed fixes, tips and tricks. We pay for that. So I'm pretty sure somebody has a very detailed repair on this, but superficially, maybe I can be of some assistance. Being my first time, I'll just try to, edit it. Again, I'm not gonna try to talk too much. I'm gonna let you hear it, and I'm gonna pull some of the panels down, capture as much as I can, and get this starter out. From what I understand, we gotta remove the right-hand manifold on the passenger side. And when you look at it, it looks impossible. But once I get some of this cover and stuff off, it looked like it's accessible. And one of the mechanics on Identifix did state you don't have to remove the alternator or generator, or however you want to call it. Just pull off a couple of items, and he stated it should take around 2 hours. So I'm hoping maybe 2.5, 3 hours for me recording and my first time doing it. So let me let you hear it, and we'll start tearing into it. So you hear it, it seems like the plunger is not pushing that pinion out to engage that flywheel. So we'll see that when we get the starter all the way out. We'll start tearing. Like I say, it looks virtually impossible. I'm trying to find the manifold. It's up in there somewhere, tucked away. I gotta, like I said, those little control arms are shot. It just don't look like you can gain access to anything. But when I start pulling the panels off, get this off, get a couple of the bolts off, get the cover down at the bottom out, and see what I am left with. This is, looks impossible. What is this? This one is hard to see, but that's what I'm going to next, right behind the alternator. The last one for the heat shield. So right there between the rack and the pinion, that's that bolt. So this is the room that I'm left with. Now I really bent up the heat shield. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to put that back when I get the manifold off and contour it back to its normal position. But I'm gonna cut the front lip of it off so I can overcome that manifold when putting it back in there, because that was the problem. But it looked like somebody already been back here. There's a bolt missing out at the bottom. I don't know if there's one supposed to be back there. There should be one there. One thing I can do, I can get my hand all the way inside of there. So I figure if I can get my hand here, then I can get a socket and a ratchet in there. So wish me luck. Oh, and to add, the starter's gonna be back here. It's behind this heat shield. So once I get the manifold off, then I can pull the heat shield off and pull the starter off, no problem. I want to say I'm about an hour into it. I want probably right at an hour and 10 minutes. I want to say, moving along. What I'm gonna do to save time, I'm just gonna let you know the tool that I use to get the manifold off. When I get it loose, I should be able to lift it over and manipulate it to get it out. And I'm definitely gonna have to disconnect the oxygen sensor connector up there. So it's the least of my worries at this point. So just an update. I just went on ahead and pulled out the alternator. It was a pain ass getting that off. So I used a 14 millimeter to get that off. Let's see if I can zoom out. So 14, 12 millimeter to get the nut for the 12 volt battery positive on the alternator. And I want to say this is a E8 to get the studs out at the top. Took the belt off, no problem. Did that from the bottom. Also removed the dipstick. It was a 12 millimeter, I want to say, 12 or 10. No, it's a 10 millimeter. And I pulled the power steering connector out here. There was a ground wire, a ground strap. Pulled that out. Just the basic stuff of pulling the alternator out. The belt, the tension's right here. I put a 10 millimeter bolt in there to keep the tension released on it. And I got so much more room for these bolts in the back, and I don't have to fight with. I fought with the alternator to make up the difference of getting better access to those 3 bolts behind it. So it was well worth it. Right now, it's pretty much cut and dry, pulling these bolts out. And I just used the 12 millimeter and a deep socket for the 1/4 inch and a deep socket for the 3/8. And that's all I'm using right now. And I'm in the process of getting the rest of these out. So I'm gonna show you that, and we'll get the exhaust manifold out completely, see what that looks like. And again, I want to get a lot of it, but I don't know if I mentioned, but this is a pain. I've done the Acura RLs. I want to say those are easy in comparison to this. This is like the most hardest starter I'll say I've ever done in my life, and I'm pretty advanced in this. I'm not the smartest guy, but this is very difficult, and I'm glad that I charged accordingly for it. And if you charge for 6 hours, it's well worth the 6 hours. I would not charge anything less. And good luck. That's all I can tell you. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can, but let me see if I can get this camera propped up so you can see me fight with these bolts. Again, getting these was very easy. Just a 12 millimeter and a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch. Got those out. So I'm just gonna get the other. I got that one and that one at the top. So I just gotta get the other few. Just gotta get these here. There was one missing down there. Just gotta get these few over here. That was a weird angle. It came out though. I got the wobble head extensions. That was the last one. Let's see what happens. Golly. You know it's bad when I ain't got no gloves on. That means I'm not gonna say I'm rushing, but I'm trying to get this knocked out. Cause I can begin to tell you, I swear I feel like I'm 3 hours, probably 2.5 hours invested. So here's our starter. This is a Denso, looks factory. What do I gotta use to get it off? It looked like 217s and some basic stuff in the back here. I think once I probably get it, oh gosh. That just disintegrated. Oh, I gotta find that. That's, oh, there we go. Felt like it disintegrated. Yeah, that's it. One side fell off. Let's get a 17, and should just be able to pull that right on out. I feel like there's a 12 in the back here. Yep. Battery is disconnected. I can't begin to tell you. They're going to test this starter. Oh my gosh. Seriously. Everything's like plastic is breaking. Why is this a pain to get off? Is there? Oh, it's pretty difficult to get out. I'm gonna take it loose first. There's the wiring harness in the back for the solenoid. I can't physically see it. I'm gonna have to pull it out first because I can't physically see it from down here. Once I get it out there, I have more room, but I don't know why this is. Probably because it's sitting here. Why is it? Okay, there we go. So we have to pull it out. All right, I'll fool with that solenoid wire when I get it out because I have a couple inches. I'm gonna work on getting the starter out. The 14mm bolts between the two 17s here are what needs to come out. These are the 14s. Let's break those loose. I gotta pull that bolt out too for the dipstick. I got one at the top. It's gonna be this one on the side too. This is gonna be a 10mm. Yeah, it's gonna be a 10. This bolt resides on the motor mount for the dipstick. So there's two, one by the alternator and this one is going to be by this motor mount. So I should be able to lift it out. Oh, yep. What was that? Is that a O-ring? Okay, and a part of that gasket broke. Tarnation. What did I do wrong? What's going on, man? What am I hitting? Oh, the wiring harness. I thought I could get it out. Okay. So push this. Oh, damn, that broke too. God. The lock for it broke. I think we'll be okay. Oh, okay, that was the reason why. Fail. It's a retaining nut. Good time to fill on the teeth. See how those are. They're fine. This starter's just jacked up. Right now, if assume that you had an oil leak at the dipstick, would be a good time to replace this gasket. What's this? Did I break something? Where does this go to? I don't know where this go. I don't feel anything special. Unless that was from some other repair. There's nothing down here. I think we're fine. I think it's probably from something else. Because it's old, yeah, this don't belong. Oh, that's probably what went to the drain for the starter. That's what that was probably. Anyway, let's look at the starter. This was the drain for the starter here, and it went right on the back right there. That's where it went. So this starter shot, I mean, when you twist it, it's not even trying to turn out, because normally when you twist it, it want to push out, and it's naturally not doing that. Like I said, I'm going to have them test the starter before I take it. I just rather be safe than sorry, because this was just too extensive, and filing a labor claim is not going to be really. I don't care for that type of money. I just don't want this to break. I don't want to do this again. I don't. But the guy has a 1-year warranty. We'll test the starter before we get it. The only thing that's available is reman. There's no new one available at O'Reilly's. When I get back, I'm gonna show you the part number. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna show the rest of the repair because this is way too extensive, and I got a bunch of other stuff I need to be hyper focused on to finish this repair, and I want to get this done with the day so I don't get put behind with the other jobs I got tomorrow and the future jobs I got with this LS460. So I'm going to be hyper focused on that. As long as people were able to see how I pulled the starter out, as far as my positioning, what tools I used, you know, those are the main things, and I hope that helped a whole lot. I highly doubt, you know, anybody. These cars are still very common on the road like that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, I'll be back. Just got back from O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and here's the remanufactured starter. I don't have the part number off the top of my head, but once you go there and give them the year, make, and model, they'll be able to pull it up for you. In my area, I wound up paying around about $260 something for it. So you kind of expect to pay around that price range for it. This is a remanufactured, like I stated. This come with if a person was just to buy it, they will get a limited lifetime warranty. So y'all will be covered a lot longer than what I'm offering my customer for the same part. This was tested after I purchased it. So we put it on the bench tester at the store, made sure it worked, and it passed with flying colors. So I know it works before I put it in here. As regards to the heat shield, I did destroy it, taking it out. I'm going to, like I say, manipulate it to get it back contouring to the manifold while it's out. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim some of the edges off just to make it a little bit more shallow, so I can get it on there a lot easier than having to fight with it like I did and destroying it again. So it'll, so like the places here, I'm just going to trim down from those edges and then fit it on the manifold, bend it back in place, put the manifold back on, and then slide this back so it'll be a little easier. It's still going to serve its purpose. It's still going to look decent. I'm just going to trim some of the edges down. I probably could take some pliers and just fold it over, but I'm just going to trim it. It'll be easier just to take some shears and just go around it, cut it back a little bit. So, because it's going to be pretty difficult getting it back in there. So next clip, I'm just going to show you the first startup, because I got several little sections or pockets of bolts and miscellaneous parts everywhere. Like I said, I pulled the alternator out. I had so much accessibility in putting everything back. I'm just going to take my time, clean the bolts, that especially like these that were rusted. I'm gonna clean those, put some anti-seize on them, or some fluid film, so it'll go in a lot easier, so they'll be protected for the future for the next guy. And we'll do the first startup. So I'll be back. Give me about, hopefully I'll see how much progress I can get in 2 hours. I'm gonna cut my heat on in this garage because this gets pretty loud. Listen to something while I'm working, and we'll be back in the next clip for the first startup. Car's finished. I would say 95% finished. I left some cosmetic stuff off the bottom, and the car's still jacked up because I still got to do the suspension components. But as far as the alternator, the starter, heat shield, everything is put back together. And like I said, I did wind up trimming a little bit off the heat shield, which you really can't tell looking at it unless you compare it to something. But it went on so much easier trimming off of, I would say about 2 centimeters all the way around, somewhere around about that. It just fell right on there. Didn't have to fight with it or nothing. I got the exhaust bolts lubed up with anti-seize, cleaned the threads. Anything that went back that had rust on it, it got cleaned up, and I used the fluid film, which works excellent. So just in case I have to pull it back down, everything will come off like butter. And I think that's about it. I mean, I use the 10mm E8, 14, and various extensions and swivels, and I pulled everything off. 3/8 socket, or 3/8 ratchet, and a 1/4 inch ratchet. Got it off. And so again, everything went on. Taking the alternator out made life so much easier. I would not fight the manifold leaving the alternator on there. I don't know how the guy did it. I give him credit, whoever did it. I've never seen nobody pull this off again. I looked on YouTube trying to see, get some tips and tricks. Didn't find any. It was a lot of videos of people that are from foreign countries, unless YouTube just threw them in the back burner for people who were irrelevant. But I'm hoping I got some good footage for someone trying to tackle this. And again, if I'll do these all day for the price I'm charging them. I'll be rich if I could put these up. But my biggest fear is actually having to pull off the manifold and it being a rusted environment. Those bolts look fantastic. I couldn't imagine doing anything that came from a rusted condition, rusted environment. I would probably use a torch. I don't even like you. Again, I'm in the Carolinas. I don't have to worry about rust. And the rust that you saw me pull those bolts off with was the most I usually have to deal with. That's it. So I live in a very good moderate climate. Anyway, enough of me talking. Let's do the first startup. I have not hit the starter switch on this yet. So let's hear it start up for the first time. I've never heard this thing. Oil level's decent. So let's do it. Sounds beautiful. I can't complain. Again, it went together within an hour. It went together smoothly. Taking it off was the problem. And in hindsight, if I just jumped and just pulled the alternator off instead of having a fight with the manifold bolts, I would have been just about 30 minutes ahead. Because, I don't know. Again, I don't know how they did it with the alternator in there, but again, I had plenty of room. Anyway, this job supposedly by Identifix labor guide is 4 hours. I've heard of people charging 6. I would definitely charge 6, just to be honest. You just don't know what you're getting into. You can't see the manifold bolts. Oh, hold on, my heater. You can't see the manifold bolts, so you can't see how the threads are or if they're rusted or not. And just playing with the or just observing the bolts down at the downpipe, it'll put you in fear. Like, okay, well, what do the bolts look like at the manifold? But the good thing is it's covered up extremely well, and it's protected from moisture, condensation, and any type of salt and elements. So you may be in luck with those potentially not rusting. I mean, it's covered up extremely well. And for it to look virtually impossible to get off, again, pulling that alternator made life so much easier. So I don't think I have anything else to contribute. I hope this helped the English version of what you're probably going to look at if you have to pull this off. At least get some visual substance. And the next thing, I hope that this starter lasts. out of the warranty phase because I've had some starters prematurely fail. As far as that connector go, the connector broke going into the starter solenoid. So I just pretty much took a zip tie. It flares out and pretty much graduates in its thickness. Put the thin end in there and just put the connector in there with it, and it creates a wedge-like system and it locks it in there. So yeah, that worked out very well. So I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm hoping that the starter lasts a while and I don't have to warranty this thing. Again, that's why I tested it before I put it in to make sure it worked. It passed test. It passed their quality control at whoever designs Ultima, and so we should be in a good situation. But hey, I'm not gonna hold you up. But if anything happened, I'll definitely update. I'm gonna do the suspension parts for this vehicle also, so hopefully I'll get that video done in a few days. But if anything happened, I'll definitely update. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, and have it reassurance on my work. See you next one.